welcome aboard and welcome to episode number 1 of this sailing channel. So I'm Jay, this is my boat. It's a 29-foot lower sailboat and it's currently, at the time of recording this, in Cannes in the south of France, so the posh place where they do the film festival. Turns out in the winter it's relatively affordable, let's say. So this is the first episode. So in this episode I'm going to just tell you a bit about what this sailing channel is going to be, why I'm doing it, how I ended up in the position I'm in, and what the plan is going forward. So we'll start with what. So I'm going to film the different parts at different parts of the boat, because otherwise this will last like 20 minutes. So I'm going to go find another location to film that part. Okay, so starting with what. So what's this channel going to be? It's going to be just a really honest channel. There's the reason behind it is, like, I've recorded this so many times because I've thought about doing it for a couple of years. Up until now I've only been living on a boat, so that's that. So there weren't really much of a story to tell. The current situation is I am very poor. Like, I don't really know how to sail. I've made a boat move before, but that's pretty much it. And you know, there's definitely people with experience will look back, will look at these videos and probably cringe, thinking, what is he doing? But it is what it is. Was it a shortcut buying a boat in the Mediterranean? I worked in France, so it's actually where I live. I've been in France for the last 11 years, so although it's a bit of a shortcut in the fact I don't have to sail it from the UK down to the Med, it's also very much a project boat. I've done bits to it already, some of which I've recorded, a lot of I haven't. But having to try do that whilst being on your own in France probably has the same amount of challenges as, you know, whether I bought one in the UK, where parts are going to be cheaper, getting help is going to be a lot easier. So I wouldn't say it was a massive shortcut that I've got the boat already in France, because sometimes that in itself is a challenge. So yeah, what it's going to be like a really honest YouTube sailing channel. Like, I'm not going to mask over things, I'm going to just say it as it is. And some of the upcoming episodes might be not the best, but I had the footage already and I may as well use it, so I'll upload them. So yeah, an honest sailing YouTube channel, which probably is going to have a fair amount of disasters, and I'm probably not always going to be doing everything by the book. A good reason for that is, and I'm trying to keep it as short as I can, I remember when I was looking at getting a boat, and I'd be put off quite a lot of the time because a lot of people would sell it as, or sell the channel as, next to no money, no sailing experience, tiny boat. And then you get into it and it's, you know, the boat's not that tiny. Sometimes it's like 36 foot. I wouldn't say that was tiny. I'm not about anyone specific, I'm just on about generally. I saw a couple like this. So the boat's not tiny. Like, they say that they've got no money, and then it becomes very clear very quickly they've got, you know, more than most people have. So my current financial situation is I worked seasonally, so I have one more payment coming in of about 1,000 euros, and if I think about the amount of money I probably need to spend on the boat, it's thousands. So it's going to also be finding ways to make money while doing what I'm doing. But yeah, more about that in the upcoming episodes. So yeah, no money, and a lot of the time you'll see them where it's like no money and it turns out they've got plenty of money. And then the other part was, you know, no sailing experience or not knowing what they're doing. And then sometimes it turns out they know exactly what they're doing. Like, so to keep it honest, this is actually my third boat. The first one never moved. It was a project boat in England, and I'll come on to that into the how I got here, but that one never moved. The second one I sailed from Marseille, so I'll try and upload a map here somewhere. So from Marseille here to Fréjus, where I then worked, and I just did that port by port by port, and honestly I probably nearly killed myself twice by accident. One day the boom nearly hit me in the head, and by sailed it I moved very, very slowly. Like a lot of it with just the Genoa, which, yeah, I wouldn't say I was sailing. Depending how you define sailing. Did the wind move the boat? Yeah, it did. Did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. And do I know what I'm doing now? Absolutely not. And you're going to see that in the upcoming episodes, because I've already like recorded and edited them. I just had to do this first one, which I put off a little bit because it's not the one where I can just record what I'm doing. I actually have to think about what I'm saying, because I've recorded it a few times and I end up with 20 minutes of me just talking. So yeah, it's literally a poor man's sailing channel, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much what the channel is going to be, and that pretty much sums up this part. So again, I'm going to go find another location to film the how I got here part. Okay, so the how part, and again I'm going to keep it quite short because I am going to down the line film an episode with a bit more of a story of how I came about doing this. The boat in the background is not actually my boat. It's a lot cleaner, nicer, faster, stronger. Actually, maybe not stronger, I don't know, but probably a better boat. The how I got here part probably started with COVID. So the first boat I bought was, well, it's actually given really. I paid for the outboard bracket on the back in Scarborough, and that came about from COVID. I was at work. I worked seasonally, so I used to go spend then the winter months back in the UK, and I'd only just gone back to work, so I was back in the sun, back in France, and then COVID happened and work pretty much went, here's 2 weeks pay, we don't know what's happening, and sent us all back home. That then led to me and a friend, who I know will be watching this, so yeah, to go on a mad-ish adventure in a teepee. And it was me basically just trying anything to not just go back and have to go do normal life, regular life, I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, it was a desperate attempt of not having to go do that. And part of me thought I'd stay in that teepee for the whole of COVID if I could have done, but it weren't practical, I couldn't do that, so in the end I couldn't stay in the teepee for the rest of my life. But before a boat, that's probably like something I like the idea of, but I failed my driving test loads of times. So another thing was, if you fail your driving test loads of times, just get a boat. Like, so anyway, back to the TP. I was in this TP with my friend, and he's showing me this like canal cruiser boat on a marketplace, and it was like £500, and I was thinking, you can't buy a boat for £500. And again, I could go on about this all day, but like, I just didn't believe it. And then I got looking, and I was like, you can. So originally I was looking at canal boats, and I really didn't realise you could do what you could do with sailboats. Like, I just didn't think people were sailing around, crossing oceans and everything on sailboats. And if you're watching this, it won't be the first YouTube video you've ever watched, so you know people do that. But I honestly didn't. And I know a lot of people don't realise it happens too. So I ended up then seeing a few sailboats, and that's then when I ended up seeing a few YouTube things, because I was looking at boat tours, so where it's like showing you around a certain size boat to try to get an idea of how big it was, because it was COVID, I couldn't even go look at any boats. And then sometimes like click onto the next episode and it'd be like sailing around the Caribbean, and you end up watching that and you're like, it doesn't take a lot to be hooked. So that happened very quickly, and then it became a bit of an obsession, which led me to then eventually get this free boat in Scarborough. Which, tip number one, if you're going to get a free boat, go look at it first. Like,
think anything free is good. It's not the case. Like, you could be stuck with it. Like, it was so hard to get rid of that boat in the end. But that's a story for another time. That then led to me actually going back to work, and then I was down here in the south of France, and I'm looking at all the boats, and I'm thinking, I've got a boat, but it's in England. That then led to the second boat, which was in a place called Portmeau, which is a natural harbour, not so far from Marseille, in a place called Cassis. I bought that boat because of the place it was in, 100%. It was €1,500. It was an amateur construction, fast 26, and the boat was just, probably was fast if you knew what you was doing, but it was not remotely comfortable. And I lived in it for the whole winter, like, with no electricity because you couldn't plug it in. So I had a solar panel, but that struggled to charge my phone most days. And yeah, looking back to that winter, I don't really know how I did it. It was so uncomfortable. And on the inside, it was all bare fiberglass. It was mouldy. It was dark. You know, it wasn't like, it needed like a whole refit on the inside. But I knew straight from the off, I didn't really have any intention of doing that refit on that boat. Like, at first I thought like I'd be able to paint over the bare fiberglass with a thick enough coat, but then I realised how much the gel coat would cost. I don't regret having that boat though. Like, I sailed it from there to pretty much where I am now, port to port to port, and after doing that, like, I struggled to replicate then when I went back to work on my days off anything that didn't involve the boat. Like, people might be like, shall we go to the beach? And I'd be like, I prefer to go to the boat. And ever since then, like, I really struggled to find something I enjoyed as much as being on the boat. Even now, you know, I'm in Cannes, it's a nice place, but you know, I couldn't really afford, but I could go over there for something to eat at a nice restaurant, or I can go over there into the sea and eat surrounded by the sea. Like, again, a lot of this will go into another episode when I can explain it in a bit more detail, because I'm trying to keep it fairly short. But yeah, how did I end up here? The last part then comes down to, like, I was working, and last year, or over the last few years, the job I'd done for like the last 11 years, I guess, turned sour. I can't think how else to explain it. Like, as I aged, the staff would still remain younger, and well, not younger, but young, because it was seasonal. And in the end, you know, I was in a job where you weren't getting supported from above, and the people below was running riot, and you're the person in the middle I was a campsite manager, and you're the person who's everyone's taking the anger out on. And in the end, for the amount of money I was getting paid, I was like, it's not worth it anymore. I'm not getting any younger. I'm not saying I'm really old, but I do wish I knew about doing this years ago when I was, say, 20, because, you know, I could have been around the world by now, but I didn't know, so that's that. And then the last part about, like, how or why, which I know was not the part I was on about, but I honestly don't know what else I'd do. You know, I could go look for a new career, but I remember when it was COVID and I was looking into what to do, I was just trying to find a job where I could go explore, and I'm not sure I'm going to make this sustainable yet, but I'm definitely going to try my best. I know YouTube's probably not going to make me loads of money, and it's going to involve me having to try find bits of work along the way, but you know, for the last 11 years I've spent the summer working, so this one, if I've got to go, you know, do a couple of weeks work and then a couple of weeks back at the boat, that's better than, you know, all summer of work to then spend the winter at the boat. Again, is it sustainable? I guess time will tell, but I'm definitely going to try and make it sustainable. So yeah, that's how we ended up here. And again, like I say, I'll probably do like a whole, unless you're already bored, but like a whole episode on that whole story really. But this is just an introduction into everything, so I'm trying to keep it as short. And I can see on the camera it already says 8 minutes 52, so I'm gonna have to cut the how I ended up here part right there, and then I'm gonna move on to the plan going forward.
Right, so back to location 1, and then a bit about what the plan going forward is and the current situation. So currently I'm in Cannes, as I said at the start of this video. Money is very tight at the minute, and I might have a little bit of boat work coming up in the next few weeks, but we'll get onto that when it gets to that episode, because I do like have the previous 9 episodes already recorded, so there'll now be following 9 episodes, because I'm recording this after recording them, because it's a bit backwards. But as I say, I just had to think about how to do it. So they're already recorded, so I'll get on to more about that then, if that makes sense. However, the current situation is, yeah, I'm in the Mediterranean. The boat's a project still, like bits are coming together, but you know, the engine doesn't work properly half the time. I don't have a Genoa anymore, spoiler, because you'll get to it. But yeah, and I'm trying to make some money so that I can get all of them stuff done. And to do that, I'm just trying to search for like odd jobs. Like there's a bit of work maybe coming up where I'm doing work on someone else's boat, but you know, if that then allows me to buy, you know, whether it's just a used Genoa so I can use that again, so be it. So that's the current situation. As I say, financially I've got like 1 more month's pay, but at the minute that seems to like just be getting me through. In the upcoming episodes you'll see me trying to spend as much time in the winter at anchor as I can, just to try and save on money. But then also the boat weren't really ready, so that came with like challenges and some disasters. And if I was to say some of the things that are coming in the next few episodes, the engine broke down while sailing, which was probably the biggest fear I ever had, other than the boat sinking, of course. Lost a Genoa, electrics breaking all the time, so really the boat needs a lot of work before it's ready to do whatever I need to do with it. But I'm trying to balance doing that work while saving money, so that's the current situation. The plan going forward is I'm not going to put it all on the line and say I'll cross the Atlantic next winter, so December 2023, but I'd like to. I'm also, as I said at the start, going to be like an honest channel. Will it be this boat that I do it in? I'd like to, but you know, as I've started sailing it a little bit more, and as I've started living on it more, and as I've started having to do a lot more on it, I'm not too sure. But saying that, maybe, like at the time and up until like this winter, having the boat was just a distraction from work. It was a place to go and be able to sleep near the sea basically. But now it's got to function as a boat, and sometimes it doesn't do that so well, but sometimes it does it quite well. So you'll see a lot in these videos, the negative side and the positive side. But someone did tell me the other day when I was putting off filming this, like, just be yourself. So that's what I'm going to do. And if you know, if people like it, they like it. If some people don't like it, they don't like it. But I guess, like I say, it'll be an honest channel. And yeah, that's the aim. I'd quite like to sail across the Atlantic. If you give me 2 years, because I can't guarantee next year I'll financially be able to do it or even be ready to do it, but definitely by the year after, if I'm still messing around here in the Mediterranean, feel free to unsubscribe. Like, I'm gonna get it done in the next 2 years, like, certainly. So yeah, so to summarize,
this is probably a channel for anyone who is thinking about getting a boat and doesn't really know what they're doing and doesn't really have much money, and maybe I'll prove it's not possible with the little amount of money I've got, but hopefully I'll prove it is possible, and that's the aim. So thanks for watching. As I say, I'm going to start uploading, I think, on every Sunday. So episode 1 is this one, episode 2 will already be on as this one goes on, and then I'm going to upload every Sunday after that. And I'm hoping, what I was meant to say is why I'm doing this. So I'm probably not doing this in hope it will make me loads of money. If it did, great, but you know, realistically it's not gonna, definitely not fast. So the real reason why is I'm doing this on my own. So you know, I spend months without seeing anyone, and by seeing anyone, yeah, I might see people. I'm in the port at the minute, but during last month I spent loads of time at anchor where I didn't see anyone for a few days, and a lot of it is really good, but sometimes picking up the camera and just saying whatever I'm doing into the camera probably keeps me sane, because there's no one around to tell what I'm doing. So that's probably the main reason I'm doing this, and if it inspires some people along the way, that'd be good as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.